It's June now, and May gave us some of the clearest signs yet of where the market is heading. All right, we've got a lot to break down, so let's get right into it. Hi, and welcome to Invest with Jim, where you'll find real estate insights that no one else is sharing. Here's what happened across the Las Vegas market in May. Inventory rose again. We went from 5,449 homes at the end of April to 5,906 by the end of May. That's an increase of 8.4%. Home sales across Las Vegas did drop as well. It went from 2,001 sold in April compared to only 1,891 sold in May. So that's a decrease about 5.5%. The median list price went up slightly from 483 to 485. Median sale prices stayed flat around 480, so there's no change there. Days on market held steady at 20 days. Price per square feet dipped just a little bit from 265 down to 264. And price reductions went up with 2,774 in April, all the way up to 3,182 in May. That's almost a 15% jump. And lastly, interest rates moved up again, starting around 6.76 and ending around 6.89 by the end of May. The first thing that stands out to me the most on all of this is the days on market, all right? It didn't change at all, and that might be a little misleading in my own opinion, all right? So a lot of you may not know this, but in the real estate industry, I know a lot of real estate agents that when they have a listing of a house that's not selling or moving slowly, a lot of times real estate agents, they will take the home off the market and remove it from the MLS, and then they'll relist it again. And the whole purpose of that is because they want to reset their days on market, all right? So if something's been sitting for like 60 days, 90 days, hasn't moved, having high days on market definitely does not help you sell a house, right? So what they do is they put it, relist it, and start the days on market again too. So I'm curious if this is actually skewing the numbers, all right? And if you find that interesting and you want me to do a deep dive, I can definitely do a full video on that. Just leave me a comment below and I'll dig more deeply into that and give you a full breakdown on that too. So those are the numbers. Now let's talk about what they actually mean for buyers, sellers, and where the market might be headed. April was a really volatile month as well too. That's one thing I noticed too. Even before the May numbers came out, I pretty much knew that they would be lower just because in April we had a really volatile month in all of the markets, all right? There was like tariffs, trade tensions. It was just a lot of instability. People didn't know where to put money, whether they should invest, if interest rates would go up or down. But anyways, basically in April, people did very little. They just kind of sat still and waited to see where things would go. So I'm not surprised that the May numbers looked much lower actually. So that's just my thought. But as things kind of stabilize again, and if rates don't keep going up and the demand keeps, being steady or even increases during the summer, I'm expecting us to have a decent market and absorb some of this new inventory that's come on the market. So if you're looking to buy in Las Vegas, inventory keeps climbing and sales dropped again, which tells us that buyers are pulling back, likely waiting on interest rates to shift downwards. Prices haven't budged, but sellers are cutting more aggressively with nearly 15% more price reductions this month. That puts buyers in a better negotiating position, especially if they're serious and they're ready to move now. Rates are up slightly, but if you can handle the monthly payment, there is a lot less competition right now and a lot more room for you to negotiate. And if you're a seller, homes are taking about the same time to sell, but fewer are actually closing. And more sellers are reducing prices to get there. So the market isn't crashing, but it definitely is cooling. Buyers are hesitant, and if you're listing now, pricing realistically from the start matters more than ever. The top dollar days are kind of behind us right now, so you need to focus on being competitive and not just hopeful or overly optimistic. Real quick, if you're finding this helpful, do me a big favor, hit the like and subscribe button and share this video with somebody who might be looking to try to make sense of this market. It really helps us out and it keeps the info coming. Now let's break things down by area. And real quick, I want to address some of the comments from the last video. A few of you asked why we didn't include areas like Spring Valley or Cadence, for example. Well, for these market updates, we want to focus on a handful of areas that tend to behave differently than the overall Vegas market. For example, places like Summerlin or North Las Vegas. So if your neighborhood isn't specifically mentioned, you can use the general Las Vegas numbers that we just went over as a solid reference point. So let's quickly run back over the definition of each of these areas. For Summerlin, if you're paying the master plan fee, I'm counting it in. Henderson, basically I'm south of the 215, east of St. Rose, and west of the 515, all right? That's going to include communities like Green Valley, Seven Hills, McDonald's Ranch, Anthem, Dragon Ridge, and Inspiration. Alpharetta, right? Northwest, I'm including areas north of Cheyenne and west of Decatur, so it's going to include Sky Canyon, Providence, and Centennial Hills. Southwest is made up of south of 215, east of Hualapai, and then west of the I-15, mostly what people consider enterprise. And North Las Vegas is basically anything within the city limits of North Las Vegas, all right? So now let's get into the data. Starting with median list prices, all right? In Summerlin, it was about $878,000, up nearly 13% from last month. Henderson came in around $650,000, so that's down about 4%. Southwest was roughly $535K, down about 1%, and then Northwest sat near $520,000, so it's down just a little over 1%. North Las Vegas landed at $435,000, so it's up about 1% too. Now looking into the median sale prices, Summerlin led again with about $850K, and that's up over 9%. Henderson dropped to around $640K, which is down about 5% from last month. Southwest came in at $530,000, down about 1%. Northwest held steady at $514,900, and North Las Vegas edged up slightly to $431K. Next is the sale to list price ratio. For Summerlin, that ratio is 97%, so it dropped about 3% from last month. Henderson was just under 98.5%, so it's down about 1.5%. Southwest held steady at just over 99%. Northwest came in just above 99%, so it's slightly up, and North Las Vegas also just over 99%, so basically unchanged. Now the median days on the market. Summerlin homes averaged about 18 days, so it's down about 5%. Henderson jumped to 24 days, so that's up then more than double from last month. So things kind of changed a lot in Henderson last month, all right? And then the Southwest, about 22 days on market, that's down about 4%. Northwest also averaged about 18 days, so they're down around 5%. In North Las Vegas, it was also 18 days, which was the sharpest drop of just over 14%. Number of homes listed, all right? In Summerlin, there's 304 homes listed on the market, basically unchanged from last month. In Henderson, there's about 239 homes, also flat. Southwest increased to 482 listings, so it went up over 5% on that. Northwest came in at 505 listings, down about 3.5%, and in North Las Vegas, we saw 393 listings, so it's down roughly 1.5%. And finally, home sales, all right? In Summerlin, we had 130 homes sell, so that's down about 25%. In Henderson, we sold 97 homes, so that's up about 6.5%. And in the Southwest, there were 225 closings, so that's down about 12% from there. And the Northwest leads in sales with 297 homes sold there, and that's down about 1%. In North Las Vegas, there were 260 closings, and that's about the same as last month, actually. So let's talk about why these areas are performing the way they are and what it tells us about the Vegas market. In Summerlin, we saw the biggest jump in prices this month, both in list price and sales prices. But even with that growth, we had the lowest sale to list price ratio of just under 97%. So what that tells me is that buyers are still active in this area, but they're negotiating more in this higher end market. Summerlin also has the sharpest drop in sales volume, down nearly 25%, which points to some of the price sensitivity despite the demand. In Henderson, on the other hand, we saw prices come down slightly and still maintain a strong sale to list price ratio at about 98.5%. Homes sat on the market a bit longer, 24 days on average, but sales actually increased. So even though the Henderson market is cooling slightly in price, it's still moving well and shows very steady demand. Southwest remains to be a good in-between market, all right? Although prices dipped a little, and while homes are still selling close to asking, activity is down, fewer homes sold, and they sat slightly longer. It's still active, but not as tight as in Henderson or North Las Vegas, and not as expensive as Summerlin. In the Northwest, things stayed very consistent. Minimal movement in price, a strong list to sale price ratio, and the most homes sold of any areas in Las Vegas, which tells us this is still a volume-driven, value-focused market. Finally, North Las Vegas continues to be the most affordable market in Las Vegas. The prices are ticking up slightly, and homes are selling a little bit quicker, but it had the best sales to list price ratio of being over 99% last month. And homes averaged just 18 days on market. So this area is still performing reliably for entry-level buyers and investors. Looking ahead, we expect things to stay relatively slow as long as interest rates remain high. Buyers are still waiting on the sidelines, and unless something shifts with rates, the hesitation will likely continue into the this summer. That being said, demand hasn't disappeared either though. It's just delayed. Once rates come down even slightly, we'll probably see a wave of buyers re-enter the market. And if you're a seller, pricing smart is more important than ever right now. Inventory keeps climbing, price reductions keep coming, and overpricing right now means longer days on market and fewer offers for you. The window for a competitive sale still exists, especially in areas with stronger schools, newer homes, and lifestyle appeal, but buyers aren't chasing anything just to get in anymore. All right, and here's a little quick personal stuff about me, what I did last month. In May, I hosted our very first annual Jim Fong Group Pickleball Tournament. It was a blast. We had a great turnout, and we even handed out our very first annual Jim Fong Group Pickleball Trophy. We do fun client events like this every quarter, so if that sounds like something you'd want to be a part of, maybe it's time for you to become a client. Also, last month, we hit 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you've subscribed recently, or maybe you've been here for a long time, I just want to say thank you so much. My goal is 100K by the end of the year, so if you're not subscribed yet, hit the button and join the community. I post these updates regularly, along with real estate and investing content that you won't find anywhere else. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, or maybe just want a consultation to figure out when the right time is for you, the number's on the screen. I've been connecting with a lot of you from YouTube lately, and it's been great to meet you, whether it's been on the phone, on Zoom, or even in person. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.